Welcome into another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, we're breaking down Dynasty trades involving rookie picks. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. Our first trade, 102 and 25 second or Garrett Wilson and a 26 third, 1 QB trade. So, to break down the trade, we're going to look at what the rookie picks represent and then any relevant statistics, and then we'll have a verdict. So we'll start with what the 102 represents. In a 1 QB, that's Malik Neighbors. Marvin Harrison Jr. will go 1. Malik Neighbors will go 2. So looking back, we have Malik Neighbors and a 25 second for Garrett Wilson and a 26 third. Now, let's look at what Garrett Wilson has done so far in his career. In 2022, 83 catches, 1,103 yards, and 4 touchdowns on 147 targets. 2023, 95 catches, somehow fewer yards, which is almost impossible. Just 3 touchdowns on 168 targets. 168 targets is insane. I mean, that's elite level volume. Only few players get that much volume. So what is my verdict? I'm actually going to go with the Wilson side. So I know that I love Malik Neighbors, but Garrett Wilson did all of that with Zach Wilson and other horrible backups at quarterback. He's a proven target monster. Malik Neighbors is great. He's on the Giants. Yes, he's a great prospect, but prospects bust all the time. It's not a sure thing. So Garrett Wilson, we've already seen him earn elite target volume twice in the NFL. So I just think I'm going to have to stick with Garrett Wilson at this kind of cost. Next up, 206 plus 211 or 110 in a 12-team super flex. So what are we looking at with those picks? Right now, at the 110, I have Brian Thomas. Maybe X-worthy will fall there, but in most leagues, for me, I'm taking Brian Thomas at the 110. 206 and 211. Now, a variety of things can fall there. I've seen, Ricky Pearsall is often my target in the 206 range. But if the draft falls as I'm projecting, I would have Xavier Legette at 206, Roman Wilson at 211. So let's think about that when we return here. Are we looking at preferring Brian Thomas or Xavier Legette and Roman Wilson, as we discussed? For me, the verdict, 110 side, taking, projected Brian Thomas. Generally, if there's doubt, I prefer the one asset side. I don't have a lot of doubt here. So it's even easier. But Brian Thomas is a higher end prospect. Xavier Legette, not really a fan. Roman Wilson went in the 3rd round. I just would rather have the one player I really like over the 2 players I don't like as much. So I'm going to go with the 110 side on that one. Next up, 103 or 109 and 112, a 12-team super flex on this one. Let's take a look. So 103, Jaden Daniels for me. It's going to go Caleb Williams at 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 2, and then Jaden Daniels at 3 in most super flex leagues, with rare exception. At 109 and 112, and 109, as I just kind of talked about, I think X-worthy is pretty much the consensus there. Maybe you'll get lucky and JJ McCarthy or Brock Bowers will fall. Especially if there's no tight end premium at all. I don't think it was specified on this one. And then Jonathan Brooks at 112 is pretty consensus. I've seen him go at 111. I've seen him go at 201. So it could be a player like Jonathan Brooks, could be someone like Bo Nix. But it doesn't matter because no matter what player it is, Jaden Daniels is coming in with extreme rushing upside, a high-end super flex quarterback that you can get. It's hard to get those players. So if all I have to do to get one of those players is give up 109 and 112, I'm doing it. Jaden Daniels is my QB 12 in Dynasty. He's just worth way, way more than the combination of Worthy and Brooks or any players like that, even though I like those players. Now, let's get into the next one here. So this one I thought was interesting. A package trade, 109 or 202, 210, and a 25-second, 12-team. This one's 1 QB, but a tight end premium. So in a 1 QB at 109, it's not going to be a super premium player. X-worthy, Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas, that tier of players will be gone. So you'll probably be looking at what's ever left between Jonathan Brooks, Keon Coleman, or, for me, the 109 is Ladd McConkey. But maybe if you got lucky, it would be Keon Coleman. Now, what would this package be worth? Let's visualize the package. 202, Xavier Legette. 210 for me right now is Jalen Wright. So for me, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. If I were just getting those two assets, I'd probably prefer Ladd McConkey. But the reason the verdict goes to the package side of 202, 210, and 25 second is because even though I like McConkey, Legette and Wright are decent, but I get that 25 seconds. So I just feel like I'm getting enough value to replace McConkey, who's still a maybe. We don't know that McConkey is going to succeed. Yes, he's in a good landing spot, but he doesn't have a great profile, statistical profile. So he's not a lock. I would take the package side in that deal. Next up, a little simpler, 206 and 25 second or 204. 10 team, 1 quarterback. So at 204, I'm looking at Xavier Legette, who's been a popular name, and I will say a player I'm looking usually to trade out from. And at 206, Marshawn Lloyd, a player who I liked, got better draft capital than I expected, but landed as the backup in Green Bay. So what would I prefer? Would I rather have, the value of Xavier Legette or Marshawn Lloyd and a 25 second? So I'm going to take the 206 side because if I look at the players, I like Xavier Legette, but I think a second is more than enough, especially in a 10 team where the value of that second is picks 11 to 20, not 13 to 24. Very important that future pick value changes a lot based on league size. A future second in a 10 team versus 12 team versus 14 team is a completely different asset. You're looking at 11 to 20 versus picks 13 to 24 versus picks 15 to 28. They're totally different assets. So that 25 second is very appealing to me here. So I am going to go with the 206 side and take that value next year, especially since I'm not super excited about Legette. Our last trade today, and I thought this was probably the biggest trade on our list, other than maybe the Garrett Wilson one we started with, Mark Andrews and Brandon Aiyuk, or DK Metcalf and 104. 12-team Superflex tight end premium. So for me, and I think this is unusual given what I've seen, I still have the 104 as Drake May. My love for Drake May has not changed just because I like Jaden Daniels more. I don't dislike Drake May. Drake May is an excellent prospect. He has proven as a thrower of the ball. Unlike JJ McCarthy, he runs the ball. So he's a better thrower and he runs. Better for fantasy, better for real life. Went higher in the NFL draft. Taking JJ McCarthy over Drake May just because he went to a good landing spot is a huge mistake. So for me, I think the hot take is that I have Drake May above Malik Neighbors. That I think is unusual. However, when we look at the context of this trade, so the 104 is paired with DK Metcalf. So let's take a look at the veteran pieces here. Aiyuk, Metcalf, and Mark Andrews. So Brandon Aiyuk was excellent in 2023. 75 catches, 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4.7 catches, and 83.9 yards per game. He was elite. Metcalf, not quite as good. 69 catches, 1,114 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4.1 catches, and 69.6 yards a game. And then Andrews, who I've talked about a lot on this channel, 45 catches, 544 yards, and 6 touchdowns. We know he got hurt, but 4.5 catches and 54.4 yards per game. Now, looking back at this, I'm going to take the 104 side, 104 and DK Metcalf over Mark Andrews and Brandon Aiyuk. Why would I do that? So, yes, I vastly prefer Aiyuk to Metcalf. That's not how I'm going to look at this, though. I'd rather just have the 104 over Aiyuk to take either May or Neighbors. I have both of them over Aiyuk in Dynasty. And then to me, Metcalf and Andrews are similar assets in the tight end premium. Andrews really, outside of that one blow-up season that he had a couple years ago, has been good, but not a league winner, even in tight end premium. He's mostly been around these averages, right around that 4.5 catches and 55 yards a game for 4 of his seasons. There's just one outlier season. And DK Metcalf has been solid. He's still over 2 years younger than Andrews. So for me, when it comes down to it, I think I'd rather just take the slight advantage in youth, especially if the value is pretty equal. If anything, favor the Metcalf and 104 side. So that's why my verdict is to take the 104 side. Now, if you like the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, up there, you can sign up for the Patreon, where you can get access to my Patreon Discord, where you can discuss a lot of trending topics or anything you want, including some of these free agency signings, which we're going to get into right now. First up, DJ Chark signed with the Chargers, 1 year up to $5 million. Now, I don't really care about DJ Chark himself that much. In 2019, he was good. 73 catches, 1,008 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4.9 catches, and 67.2 yards a game. That was good. Hasn't done much since. In 2020, he kind of fell off a little bit. We know that was the kind of a disastrous season for the Jaguars. Mostly injured in 2021. And then he went to Detroit in 2022. Just kind of never really got it together. Fell down to 2.7 catches and 45.6 yards a game. And then last year, even lower, 2.3 catches and 35 yards a game. Did score 5 touchdowns. He was fine, but, outplayed by Adam Thielen in Carolina. So, yeah. But let's look at this, and then we'll look at Quentin Johnston's 2023. Even worse. 2.2 catches and 5.4 yards a game. Chark was better. So that's a little less terrifying. Now, where are we with this? So, unfortunately for QJ, Chark is most similar to Johnston as a pure outside receiver. Chark does not go in the slot, whereas Ladd McConkey can play in the slot, and Josh Palmer is kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, who can kind of go anywhere. Not great at anything, he's okay everywhere. So I have no interest in Chark. Chark has been washed for years. So wide receiver 107, whatever. Maybe a miracle will occur, but I'm not interested in him. Ladd McConkey did not change his dynasty value. I have him at wide receiver 32. No change. I think that his role is really not affected by Chark at all. He is going to play the slot in the NFL mostly. And, if DJ Chark is affecting Ladd McConkey, then Ladd McConkey wasn't going to be successful anyway. The one I do have concerns about, and this kind of reminds me of last year with Josh Reynolds and Jamison Williams, is Quentin Johnston, which is that DJ Chark was better than Quentin Johnston last year. And while I think it's insane, is there a possibility that DJ Chark takes some snaps away from Quentin Johnston? Yes. And is it bad that they signed a receiver who's the most similar to the bust that they had from last year? Yes. So I did move him down a little bit in Dynasty. Not much. Josh Palmer, I moved down 1 spot just because it's someone who will take some more snaps. And, I wasn't that interested in Josh Palmer anyway. The main thing this signing does, though, unfortunately, is crush any interest I have in Brendan Rice. So with these later wide receiver signings and the late picks in the NFL draft, the thing I want to see is the path on the depth chart. Before, we had Palmer, Johnston, and McConkey, and really no one else. So Rice had a path to be at least wide receiver 4 and then get on the depth chart. Now, though, I feel like DJ Chark was not horrible last year. So Rice is going to start out as wide receiver 5. It's just too far to climb up on the depth chart to waste time on stashing Rice. So I moved him down all the way down to wide receiver 106. I'm just not interested. He's not going to be someone I'm targeting at all. Next up, Chase Claypool signed with Bills. I do not care. In 12 games played in 2023 among 2 teams, he didn't even total 100 yards. So don't waste your time. Don't add him. Add someone else, but don't waste your time on Chase Claypool. And lastly, for news, Odell Beckham Jr. signed with Dolphins. Now, this one is I think, more interesting. 1 year, up to $8.25 million, $3 million base. He sat out 2022 after his injury in the Super Bowl. But then in 2023, he came back and he was actually okay. 35 catches, 565 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2.5 catches, and 40.4 yards a game. Now, that doesn't look great, but the Ravens' passing offense was anemic again. And he was the clear wide receiver 2 on the Ravens behind Zay Flowers and ahead of Rashad Bateman. So he wasn't totally washed. If he'd been on an offense that threw a little bit more, he might have actually delivered something. I have him wide receiver 95. I'm not running to pick up OBJ, but it's the Dolphins offense. If Waddle or Hill went down, which is what it would take, could you stream OBJ a couple of weeks? Maybe, but I'm not looking to add him. Unfortunately, though, it crushes most of the stash value of Malik Washington. I moved him down 6 spots. I love the talent. I love the fit in the offense. But now he's down to wide receiver 4 instead of having a path to wide receiver 3. So he's just no longer a favorite sleeper of mine. Now, once again, I want to remind you that all of these trades that I talked about today came from the Patreon Discord. So if you sign up at patreon.com/fantasy advice up there, you can ask trades for future trade shows and also ask other questions for the YouTube. So I have a couple of advanced questions today, and we will jump into those right now. Rasheen Ali, your thoughts? Specifically, what he looks like as prospect. How do you feel about his landing spot? Can he work his way into the RB2 role this year? Let's just say that I think Ali will be coming on a future Rookie Sleepers episode, maybe coming out very soon. But there's lots to like. Derrick Henry's 30. Keaton Mitchell's injured. Justice Hill, meh. The only reason he's not my favorite sleeper is because Derrick Henry's a little bit more of an obstacle than some of the other guys have, like Kimani Vidal with the players ahead of him. But otherwise, yes, I will break down Rasheen Ali in full very soon. So keep an eye out for that on the YouTube. What are your thoughts on foregoing rookie drafts and just buying proven players with the picks? I'm totally open to that, but I'm always open to whatever gets value. So whatever that is. In general, though, I had to give one general piece of advice. I'm somewhat of an ageist. I like building around young players. So I'm usually more often on the rookie side than on the trading rookie picks away for veteran side. But that's just a general concept. Every trade is different. And that's why the Patreon is the best place, because you can ask me about specific trades. In 10-team 1 QB, what range of players and picks could I trade for with 201, 208 combo? I'd aim high. For someone proven or high upside for that pair of picks, someone like Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, or at the highest range, Jackson Smith and Jigba would be the players I would be trying to acquire. And then lastly, are these players worth keeping on my taxi squad? Kenny McIntosh, Sean Tucker, Xavier Hutchinson, Zach Evans, Charlie Jones. Honestly, no, they can all go. McIntosh, no path on the Seattle depth chart. Tucker, dead in the water on the Tampa depth chart. Hutchinson is totally buried. I mean, I don't even know. Is he wide receiver 6 on that roster? Zach Evans is now RB4 after the Rams signed Boston Scott. And unfortunately, Charlie Jones, now that they drafted Jermaine Burton, I think Charlie Jones is wide receiver 5 on that depth chart for now behind Andre Yoshavash. So, yeah, I have no interest in any of those players. Now, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment with your thoughts on the Dynasty trades I talked about today. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my full Dynasty Fantasy Football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Every sign-up helps support my content. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.